An anti-abortion group has put out its fourth undercover video alleging Planned Parenthood is selling fetal body parts. The group, the Center for Medical Progress, also says it has 8 more similar clips. This fourth video comes after a California judge issued a temporary restraining order on Tuesday, barring the group from releasing any more videos. Now, in the latest recording, a doctor is heard discussing how to avoid the perception of selling fetal parts across states. Planned Parenthood has repeatedly denied that it has done anything illegal. The organization's president has even put out an op-ed in the Washington Post calling the videos, quote, nothing short of an attack on women. Joining us now from Washington is Dawn Laguens, Executive Vice President and Chief Experience Officer at Planned Parenthood. Thanks for being with us, ma'am. Thank you so much.
You bet, Vlad.
So let me get right into it. In an op-ed out yesterday in the Washington Post, Cecile Richards, the president, called these videos an attack on women and that the group responsible created wrongdoing instead of uncovering it. And another video came out today. Explain what these videos actually show.
What you see on those videotapes, first and foremost, is somebody following the law, and second, people who have been breaking the law in order to badger and stalk doctors and go into the most private, personal medical situations and to try to present wrongdoing when there is none.
But Ms. Laguens, you know, we watch some of these videos, and the language that is used by these healthcare professionals is pretty coarse, pretty crass in some instances. You know, and in the opinion piece there by the president of Planned Parenthood, she says that there perhaps needs to be some kind of training done, some kind of protocols in place so we don't hear people talking like this about fetuses.
Well, I think if you are talking about the video that just came out that is in a medical facility where doctors are doing their job and are being, again, stalked by anti-abortion extremists, what you see is the usual kind of situation where a medical or research procedure is being discussed, and that can be very difficult. We totally understand that. But the reality is what it shows is doctors doing their work, and it shows an amazing invasion of privacy. And what that is leading to, of course, are unbelievable political circus here in Washington, where now people like Senator Ted Cruz and Rand Paul and John Cornyn are calling for them to decide what is legitimate health care for women. As I recall, the last time when they talked about legitimate rape, that didn't go so well. And so what we are seeing now is an effort to defund preventive health services, birth control, STD testing, cancer screenings, as part of a coordinated effort to end safe legal abortion in this country and to get rid of Planned Parenthood that stands up for women and their health care.
And we're going to talk about that, but, you know, even Secretary Hillary Clinton, former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, called these videos disturbing. So do you understand perhaps why many Americans also find what they see on these videos, no matter how they've been edited, why they may also find it disturbing?
Well, I think let's say that Secretary Clinton and presidential candidate Hillary Clinton has been out front saying that the work of Planned Parenthood is critical in this country, and her history and record on standing up for women and girls is amazing. Anyone would say that watching somebody invade and tape a part of a person's medical procedure would be disturbing, and we totally would say that if you tape research and medical procedures of any type, it is difficult, and we do recognize that. But the fact is that these are folks who have one goal, and that is to take away a woman's right to have an abortion, a woman's right to access health care, and that can't get lost.
You know, in this interview that she did with the New Hampshire union leader, Secretary Clinton says it raises questions about the whole process. That is not just involving Planned Parenthood, but many institutions in our country. Even Cecile Richards, the president, says, I immediately apologize for the tone that was used. So is there going to be some kind of process or some kind of training that is put in place so that medical professionals do not use this type of language, which gives fuel to the fire of those who may want to defund Planned Parenthood?
I want to address the first point that you made, Vlad, which I think is a very good one and a very good point made by Hillary Clinton. Yesterday, Cecile Richards actually sent a letter to Dr. Francis Collins, the head of the National Institutes of Health, saying if the 1988 and 1993 laws and procedures that were put in place by a bipartisan commission that had started with Ronald Reagan are not doing the job for the entire fetal tissue research system, then we should absolutely have that responsible medical conversation, and Planned Parenthood would welcome it. But to target Planned Parenthood, which has 2 or 3 small programs around the country where women can decide to donate fetal tissue after an abortion in order to help with humanitarian research, and ask us to answer for the entire industry, if you will, or the entire research field, is just kind of ridiculous.
In this op-ed from Cecile Richards, she says the language used does not reflect the compassion that people have come to know and expect from Planned Parenthood. So what will be done to change that perception?
Yes, and one of the things that was recognized is, especially in some of the public settings of the early videos, that could be very disconcerting and doesn't match the medical and clinical and compassionate setting of a healthcare situation. And I think that was being referenced. But certainly Planned Parenthood cares deeply about women in this country, frankly, care deeply about everyone in this country. And if there is something that we can ever do to improve our policies, to improve how we are interacting, to improve outcomes for people, that's how Planned Parenthood wants to be, and that is what our history says.
The Senate is voting on Monday to potentially defund Planned Parenthood. Majority Leader Mitch McConnell said the legislation would help keep taxpayer dollars out of the hands of what he calls some scandal-plagued organizations. 18 Republicans have pledged to oppose any bill funding Planned Parenthood. Marco Rubio, also running for president, tweeted his outrage. Look at all this outrage over a dead lion, talking about the lion in Zimbabwe. But where is all the outrage over the Planned Parenthood dead babies? I guess the question is, do you have the votes, the organization, the votes to counter what may happen here? How dependent is your organization on federal funding?
Vlad, let me clarify what defunding Planned Parenthood actually means. Of course, no federal funds go to pay for abortion because of laws that are in place right now. What these federal funds do...
And that's a good point, right? Because a lot of Americans might not understand that going back to 1976, the Hyde Amendment says federal funds cannot be used for abortions.
Right. So what these funds are used for is STD testing, birth control, cancer screenings, teen pregnancy prevention programs. And that is what we're talking about, cutting millions of people off of through, quote, defunding. This is political circus going on that threatening to shut down the government at a time when people are just really struggling still to recover from the economic downturn, to put people's health care at risk. This is really politics at its worst.
All right, we've been also monitoring your site for the past 24 hours. It looks like the site has been hacked. Planned Parenthood notified the FBI. Any idea who the culprits are?
Well, they have definitely stated in the original attacks that were launched a couple of days ago their ties and interest in the anti-abortion movement. And so the thing that I think people don't realize, it's not a game when you hack a website like Planned Parenthood's. 200,000 people every day, 6 million people a month come to that website, not for politics. Democrats, independents, and Republicans alike, because health care is not partisan, they come to that website looking for information that can prevent pregnancy, that can help them through a difficult spot, to make an appointment, to have a breast anomaly looked at. You know, these are significant, not just inconveniences, they can actually really hurt somebody, what these hackers are doing. And I call on them and ask them out of compassion and mercy to please stop this attack.
Will there be any repercussions to those healthcare professionals that were caught on videotape making some of those comments?
These people were not caught. They were stalked, and they were attempted to be entrapped. And what I can say about these providers is that after having been badgered and stalked for years by these people committing this fraud, that they continued to say Planned Parenthood cannot profit, Planned Parenthood does this as a humanitarian assistance to research and to honor the wishes of women. And so that is what I think people are going to see when they really look at these tapes closely.
Dawn Laguens, Executive Vice President of Planned Parenthood, thank you so much for being with us.
You bet. Thank you.